Civil Rights Assessment by McKenna Moreland. For to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others. Nelson Mandela. The attitude of this quote is very thought out, in which it brings a sense of wonder and creates questions. He pauses in between the quote to put an emphasis on the importance of what he is saying. A detail I found important while looking at this quote is when he states, "For to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains." It is a different way of saying that African Americans shouldn't settle for the somewhat freedom they have now, which is African Americans still being held under whites' power. The word chains brings a sense of imagery because it makes it more easy to picture how Mandela views African Americans' rights during this time period. Their rights basically being chained down by whites. The importance of this quote was Mandela's way of showing that even though African Americans are considered free, they're still not truly free. He believes that whites still have control over African Americans in the work field and in everyday activities. They still do not receive the same rights as whites, which frustrates Mandela because he believes African Americans are equal to them. This speech was intended to motivate African Americans to not settle for the rights they have now. He wanted them to fight until they got everything they deserved as humans. Nelson's speech is one of the first of many to start a movement for black suffrage. Nelson Mandela was awarded the 1993 Nobel Peace Prize for his work for the peaceful termination of the segregated black government and for laying the foundations for a new democratic South Africa. This quote was one of many that led Mandela to receiving the Nobel Peace Prize.